obviously they're not just doing drugs for no reason.
Good.
So, I mean, there's going to be other reasons there, whether they do it for fun or whether they do it because they've got something going on in their head.
I don't think anyone does drugs for fun.
No,
I think there's
maybe
always
not,
an underlying issue.
Yeah,
you know, every young person suffers with their own issues, and I think drugs is just a pathway to a potential cure for that in their kind of head.
Hello and welcome to the Leading Communities podcast, brought to you by Aspire for You CIC and produced by That's All Media CIC. I'm Kit Shawande and I'll be your host. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Leading Communities podcast. We're out here in Walsall. We're doing a new style of taking it to the community, being joined by Nathan and Kierut. Kierut told me off a few times for not saying his name right, so I think we've balanced everything out. So really, the idea behind all of this is to be listening to people, listening to communities, more from a different perspective. So leadership isn't always about the people at the top. Sometimes you've got to be able to listen to what the people are going through. So tell me both your quick stories of living in like Walsall. What are you doing now? And then we'll take it from there.
Nathan, I think you should take it off.
Okay, cool. So I'm Nathan, as we've already said. I'm 19 years old. From Walsall, Walsall actually.
Shut up, Walsall.
My background comes from kind of like retail work, a little bit of kind of like presenting. And
so how did we first meet you? Like the backstory for Aspire for You?
So it started off with a DM from an account called On Point WM. They kind of asked me to get involved with a podcast. At first I was like, nah, like this isn't for me. Like I don't know whether these are legit, whatever. Come Christmas time, Happy Christmas, or New Year, Happy New Year.
So that's the second message we sent you.
Second message, and I thought, you know what, I've seen what the page is about, I might just get involved with a podcast type of thing, and it's progressed from there really. Podcast, then kind of like street team outreach work, going out in the community and sharing kind of opportunities to do with employment, and moving on to what I'm doing now, called community management.
3 years later, yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet, okay. And we'll come on to that because there's something in leadership in there, which is when you get approached, people may not say yes first time, but the idea in giving the sense of you don't go away seems to matter.
Yeah,
all right.
Definitely.
And yourself, like your story, and then a little bit about how you got involved with this.
No problem. So my name's Kierut, as you've already been told. I'm also 19. I'm a uni student, just finished my first year. I've not always been born and bred in Walsall like Nathan is. I moved to the area when I was about 11, live in Aldridge. Just guess we're here to just talk about what we can do to help improve Walsall as a town and somewhere to live.
And what kind of stuff have you done with us before that's, how are we known to you is...
So obviously I met everybody here through Nathan. I've known Nathan now for about 2, maybe 3 years now.
And you do football?
Yeah, I do the football community football thing on a Monday night. I've done a couple of photo shoots as well and a couple of community outreach things in Warsaw.
So worst case scenario, you can say to your parent, you got a backup modelling career.
Yeah, come on.
Okay. So
maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't take it that far. But.
So obviously from Nathan's perspective, he's done a lot of outreach and he's seen a lot of things out there. And obviously for you guys as well, you're living in Warsaw, but now you're 19, 20? So how do you just feel about what's going on in the community from different perspectives?
I think that in Walsall, compared to somewhere like Birmingham, compared to somewhere like Coventry, I think we're kind of forgotten in that sense. Like it seems that there is changes being made within communities for young people, but particularly in those bigger areas. And once you kind of leave the outskirts, get into the Black Country, it's kind of, you can't see the change as much.
Really?
Yeah. Whether it's, kind of community experiences, anything from kind of music workshops or any kind of youth clubs or just youth support when it comes to kind of jobs and careers. I feel that there is a kind of a disconnect in Walsall. Then again, I also think there's a gap in the market for it, particularly when it comes to kind of the creative sides, because I really think that there hasn't been many artists, musicians, creatives that have kind of got out the hood of Walsall. Other than the big ones, Georgia Smith, I definitely think there's a gap in the market for a rapper, producer, anything like that. Yeah.
So really, like in terms of Walsall and talent, Walsall talent's not being seen,
I believe so.
and not enough places for them to do things to
And
be seen.
establish, and get exposure, etc.
That's deep. And from your perspective, in terms of like what's being provided for young people in Walsall?
Yeah, I don't really think there's much being provided to young people in Walsall. I feel like something maybe like a youth centre for kids to go to after school would be a great idea and a great thing to help the community and help the youth of the community, because at the end of the day, if you don't invest in your youth, then how do you expect anything to happen in the future?
So one thing, playing devil's advocate. So again, we sit in certain rooms and there'll be, whether it's from like Home Office to combined authority, where the Metro Mayor kind of looks after NHS rooms, public health rooms, and even like youth provision. So they'll say there are youth centres and they'll say it's being attended, and they'll also say that yes, there's room to do more, but really it kind of does exist. So is what you're talking about, is it as simple a black and white of it exists and it doesn't exist, or are you more going into the how? Like, is it more about how should things be pitched and presented, or just blanket they don't exist?
So as far as I'm aware, they don't exist. I don't know about them.
So for you, if you don't know it, it's as good as it doesn't exist.
Precisely.
Okay.
So okay, cool. These mayors or whatever you want to say, community leaders and stuff, they can say that they exist because they might. But if kids don't know about them, parents don't know about them, then how do you expect them to be used to the best of their abilities? If you're going to invest in something like that, then surely you'd want it to be used properly. So maybe that's them saying that the investment's not there, or maybe that's them saying that they're doing all they can, but there's so much more that they can do.
So something that you're talking on is something that I've talked on a lot. So it sounds to me you're talking about promotion and communications.
Yeah, of course.
So one philosophy that some people have is building it is not enough. What you invest in telling people about it and letting them know it exists matters. Talk me through how you see that.
Look, what I'm trying to say is you can build the best, most state-of-the-art facility for kids, right? PlayStations, food, pool tables, football, whatever you want, right? It can be the best thing ever. You can spend millions and millions on it. But if nobody knows about it, then what's the point, right? It could be a shed in a garden, right? That has a football table and a TV in there and just a hot meal for kids. Yeah. And that will be used so much more if it's been put out there than this state-of-the-art facility that's not being publicised, right?
Okay. So talk me through the how it should be put out there. So let's just say, let's do like a yin and yang. £1 million state-of-the-art building, and then a shed with football table and a TV, right? So we got these two youth offerings. Talk me through how we could promote both of them, either of them.
Both of them can be promoted in the exact same way.
Okay.
Use social media. Social media is the biggest tool that we have on offer to us right here, right now. And okay, back in the day when youth clubs were very, very prevalent in communities, right, and they were used quite a bit, right, there wasn't any social media, but the word was put out there through flyers, word of mouth, whatever it was. The word was put out there to say, listen, there's a youth club here, bring your kids, have something to eat after school, because that is another big problem, is that, sometimes people don't know, kids don't know, after school, is mum and dad going to be home? Is there going to be something to eat? Is there going to be something to do? Probably not. What are they doing instead? Hanging around corners or, at parks and stuff, and just, doing stuff that maybe isn't the best idea.
Okay, so kind of like nailing the social bit. How, because we're talking to real organisations now, and they will be listening, because this might be one of the first spaces where they've had a chance to leave the office. So which social media first? What should they be talking about it? How should they be showing what's on offer?
I think on Kierut's point about social media, I think when you did talk about promotion, the obvious answer is kind of hitting up schools, colleges, places of education. But I understand that not everyone is at school, not everyone is at college, university, whatever else. So I think that...
And you know that because of what you've seen in the streets. From doing outreach, what have you seen?
100%.
Yeah.
So a lot of people maybe just aren't attending school. They've just got a disinterest in it.
How many people have we met where they literally told us they got kicked out of school that week, got kicked out of Walsall College?
Loads.
Like,
5%.
Yeah. Every week,
Yeah, on a weekly basis, definitely. I think social media is powerful, but then again, not every young person has the facilities to use or access social media as well. So I think in terms of promotion and kind of like a marketing strategy to get the word out there, I think there needs to be a mixture of different things, definitely. In terms of social media, I think TikTok, Instagram is probably the best bet in my opinion.
And what should the content talk about?
I don't think it should talk. I think it should be shown. I think no, it's the truth though. I think if you have somebody just sat there talking to a camera and saying, "Hi, here's this state-of-the-art facility. Here's what you can do." Kids ain't gonna watch that. Parents are not gonna watch that. But if you show them like I don't know a promo or a reel of this facility, showing them that look, this is what we have to offer, especially to parents, right, who can then show it to their kids. Because, okay, cool, a kid can say, oh, mom, dad, look at this. They're not really going to be that interested in it. But if the parents see it themselves and say, okay, you know what, actually, they've got some good facilities here. They've got X, Y, and Z. Then it's more likely to be used. And I do agree with Nathan that, yeah, social media is one of the most powerful tools, but schools need to be told about it as well. Because if the schools aren't being told about it, they're not telling the parents, then... We're going to lose, do you know what I mean?
Even youth groups as well, you know, the likes of the cadets, the scouts, even down to stuff like youth justice, I think they need to be informed of it. Because a lot of young people, it's kind of like circumstantial, isn't it? Each different young person needs some different support. And I think if you can reach out to all of the community, the ones that you are kind of targeting and looking for, like if it was mental health support and you target the whole community, the ones that do need mental health support, although they may not at first or the second time or even the third time, like people are going to reach out. You just need to engage with all of them.
Yeah, so for clarity, you kind of said 5% of the people that you've reached are probably ones that have been kind of kicked out of school, and like the targets that I set for you guys when you're doing that outreach stuff is like at least 100 a day, right? So we're saying at least 5 people are always telling us that they're not in some form, well, not that they're even 100%, at least 5 have been kicked out of school, like 100%. Just for clarity. So if we need to sum up some of what you guys are saying, choose a social media channel, but make sure you're explaining the how, and in the how, make sure that you mix the social media with face-to-face real life engagement, but also show not tell, like show something being demonstrated, something put in use.
Action speaks better than words.
Okay, so now so again, devil's advocate, if we're to say youth centres are a bit dead, meaning if I'm a kind of person that I'm looking on socials and I'm seeing I'm Just Bait and all of those types of, you know, channels, and then I'm seeing other meme stuff, I'm seeing my friends maybe spitting bars and spitting bar kind of competitions, if somebody said that youth centres are cute but that's for more of the goody two shoes kids, what would you guys say to that?
I feel like it's quite easy to say that, right? And quite easy to make that into a meme. But if you worked with people like I'm Just Bait or Berms is Grime, right? They're two of the biggest social media platforms for young kids. Especially Berms is Grime, right? Because that is quite local to our area.
Local, yeah.
So if you spoke to people like that and said, look, this is what we're trying to do, and it's not just for goody two-shoes kids, and it's not just for little kids, it's for all ages. We've got rooms and separate parts for, you know, teens, going on to 20s. We got rooms here for, you know, little kids, you know, that are in primary school, and you know, you got everything in between as well, and you use that platform to help promote it, you got such a better chance of it being used.
Okay, so definitely like factor them in, but also design the space where it's not like you know, different people can do different things. Yeah, okay, that's a bit deep and interesting, because like one of the issues is that, which is, so in another podcast we've been speaking of, people have said that people aren't feeling safe in Walsall. So if somebody said, well, yeah, you can build the youth centres, but again, if people don't feel safe, will they attend? What are your guys' thoughts or perceptions of safety, or how do we design for safety?
It's not a problem for me, I don't think. So I don't think I could really comment on it that much, to be honest.
In terms of what when you say it's not a problem?
I feel like I'm safe.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, I've never run across any problems.
Why do you think some people don't feel safe in Walsall?
I think some people are within the wrong friendship group who have beef with the other wrong friendship group, you know. I think people who maybe have some sort of SEN needs or anything like that, I think they may feel a little bit vulnerable. So
okay. And for you, what your perceptions of safety, or what do you think other people feel about safety?
I can understand why people would feel like there's a safety issue in Walsall. You know, it can be a bit of a rough place sometimes. I'm not saying it all the time, but if they're not feeling safe, then give them somewhere to feel safe.
How do we design for that?
Make it inclusive. Make it a space for everyone, and make it a space where other people from different backgrounds within Walsall can be in one space and get along with each other.
Yeah. Is it easier said than done? Obviously, like I say, you guys are tiny.
Of course.
Just for kind of clarity, I'm not kind of expecting to have everything, but I'm just probing in case there's stuff in.
Of course. Of course, it's easier said than done. All right, it's easy for us to sit here and say, "Yo, let's do this, let's do that," but then putting it into practice and actually trying to get it done, of course, it's going to be harder than that. It's going to be a hell of a long process, and it's going to be a full-on project. But if it takes off how it should do, then eventually it's going to get to a point where it is exactly.
Yeah. Do you guys see yourselves as having a role in building a safer Walsall, and what could that look like?
me personally, with my job, definitely. I think from a personal standpoint as well, it's something that I would like to get involved with.
Yeah, for me personally, I think, now that Nathan's brought me into doing stuff like this, I've done about 3 different projects now. I feel like that's my way of helping, because I'm helping shed light onto certain issues. And, is there more that can be done? Yeah, of course, and we can all do more, but at the moment, this is what I'm doing, and I feel like it's going to help. That's
actually an interesting point, and I hadn't really thought about it. So what you're saying is that even if you want to be part of the solution, it's not easy for someone to walk off the streets and do it. But by us exposing you to social issues, by us giving you a space to talk and think about it, it's opening that journey to being. So that's interesting, because really some people would say, we got this youth brand, Life Proof, we've got the Motive Walsall, we've got 2 social media channels, and they're like, well, what's the point? But it's sounding like you guys are seeing that, that's a stepping stone to civic engagement. Civic engagement is code for people caring about things like politics and the things like, and I'm saying it partly for kind of those that are listening as well. It's also a pathway for kind of social action and giving back and all of that. So, because you can donate time or you can donate kind of money, but either way you need to know what's going on to do that. So that's an interesting one, that some of these activities do that. If we weren't here, how do you guys think you'd have achieved contributing to your communities?
Probably wouldn't have, to be fair.
Neither.
Really?
If there's not somewhere, if there's not an avenue of doing it that you know about, then you're not going to ever have a chance to do that unless you start doing something yourself. Luckily though, with the help of you, there is a platform and there is somewhere where people can come and help and try and make a difference in their local town. Obviously you got Motive Walsall, Birmingham, Wolves, cover a large area of places. So everywhere's got their own little projects going on and helping the community.
I think I could offer support within my own ecosystem, my own community. if we weren't to play football on a Monday, I think that, you know, it'd be something that, a conversation that we would have had anyway.
Yeah,
between the friendship group. So
You'd have talked about it, but then would you have had a pathway to do much?
I think me being who I am, if I want to do something with my boys, we're gonna do it. You know. But without that initial conversation or that initial idea, I don't think anything's gonna.
But this space helps that conversation.
Definitely.
Because of what you're seeing in the streets, or
100% that, but also like the facilities to do it as well. Like even little things like a group chat. That's powerful in itself. You're bringing people together in one space, one group chat. And from then, the network, we communicate, we can make things happen. And I think not only for sports, that can also be used elsewhere as well.
Yeah. Okay. This is my curiosity from a faith perspective, because you practice, right? Because I can see I can see what you. I go. You practice, and it goes from a nod to a Tuesdays to Thursdays, and then I take the weekends off. Only because obviously you're wearing the calças, the bangle, yeah. Kara, sorry, forgive me. So social action from a faith perspective.
Yeah.
Where, you know, does going Gurdwara and all of that expose you to how much does it expose you to?
The thing is, right, is that going to the Gurdwara and doing seva is charitable work, right? It doesn't mean donating money. It means, you know,
being of use, put yourself to use.
Put yourself to use, you know, cook in the kitchen, have people have a meal. If you go to any Gurdwara in the world, no matter what time it is, you're going to get a free meal. No matter who you are, no matter what faith you're from, doesn't matter, you're going to get a free meal. You walk into that Gurdwara, you're going to get a free meal, right? It's not, you give money, we give you food. No, it's not about that. The food is free, yeah? I've seen homeless people go to the local Gurdwara in Walsall, right? It's called the Karma Gurdwara, right? I've seen homeless people during the day go there and eat, because you know what? That's how we give, right? There's organisations. One of them's called Midlands Lunga Seva Society, right? They're very close friends of my family's, and you know, every day in a number of towns they do a daily feed, right, where they park up their van, right, and they feed homeless people out of the van. They've also got a big bus, and in the bus, you know, it gives place for homeless people to get warm, have a warm drink. There's facilities on there where they can brush their teeth, have a shower, you know, and feel not like they're homeless.
Perfect.
Right.
So how do we like link that up? Like, so you're saying it's of value. So who needs to know that, and where can it reach? And obviously, from your perspective, how do they make use of you more, or? You know what I mean? Or is it a case of, well, I do that, but actually I might have my own other things, but if I wanted to do something else, that wouldn't be easy to pivot to. So there's probably two questions there, because I'm really curious, but what can people learn from what you've just described?
I feel like people can learn that, you know, no matter who somebody is, if they need a helping hand, just give them the helping hand. If it's not gonna take too much off your back to give them that helping hand, then give it to them. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes people, you know, are less fortunate than other people, and you know, if you're fortunate enough to be in a position where you can help somebody, then do it.
So based on what you were saying, that sure, in terms of what we can learn from the servers, that we can really think about just being of service, which is one of our pillars, like mindset development, financial literacy, and employability for us is to employ something just to make use of it. So go be useful, and I think that's amazing. If a young person doesn't fit inside, from your perspective, if you've got a social issue or a social mission that you care about that doesn't quite fit inside that, in Walsall, do you know where you'd go, or how?
Well, I'll just reach out to yourselves, to be fair, because it's somewhere that I know, and I know that you guys can do stuff to help, so that's where I'd go.
And if we didn't exist, how do you think other young people would normally go about it?
I don't think they would.
Yeah. Okay. And from your kind of perspective, kind of just like maybe just wrapping up quickly, any takeaways in terms of things that leadership in like leading communities, in terms of the communities that you've been seeing, what should be considered in terms of like getting young people to that next level?
From personal experience, when I was younger, year 6, there was a youth club down the road, and we walked in, 20p, fizzy drinks, chips, pool table. We used to watch movies, make t-shirts. There also used to be a party bus that used to go around the local area, and it was kind of like a workshop bus. They'd encourage people to draw pictures, they'd encourage people to do a little bit of media bits and just kind of creative endeavours as well. I don't see that now. Maybe it's because I'm older and it's not really something that I do now.
So what does a 20-year-old need then? So like keeping it in your age group, what does a 20-year-old
I think that is the problem in itself. What does a 20-year-old need? Like,
Who knows?
0 to 11 years old, I think the support's there, or it was when I was younger.
Okay.
Teenage years, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's subjective.
Yeah.
Some people need job support, careers advice. Some people just need somebody to speak to. Some people need to make friends. They're not very sociable. They suffer with kind of social issues.
So how should that space look?
I think that there should be somebody for everybody.
Okay.
I think that a one-on-one conversation needs to happen with every young person at one point in their life. And then kind of, if they need to speak to that person again, they can do so later on within their kind of youth as well.
Okay, I'll be interested in picking that up, like who's that person and how that looks, but that's cool. What does the 20-year-old need in our community or in your community right now?
Who knows, man? Like, okay, one thing I will say is maybe have somewhere where people can go and get some support with drugs and alcohol addiction. I feel like that's quite prevalent no matter what age you are. So maybe that would be quite a good.
What kind of things are you seeing that's making you think about that?
A lot of drugs, man.
Really?
Yeah.
What levels and what types?
Just a lot of drugs.
Yeah. Editing.
And why is it a problem?
Because how do you expect to function properly and be yourself if you're in a whole different mindset?
And what have you seen? What's happened to the people that you've seen?
Just not being themselves. That's what I say.
And how does that make you feel about Walsall?
I feel like it should change, and the support should be there. That's what I think.
Okay. Do you got a feeling why the support's not there?
I think the support that is there is too legal. If you know what I mean?
Yeah. So go deeper. That's why I wanted to push.
It's too legal and it's too like police orientated and hand your drugs in and let's get you on.
It's all about the crime, right? So what should it look like if there's going to be
talk
good
about
support?
people, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not just doing drugs for no reason.
Good.
So, I mean, there's going to be other reasons there, whether they do it for fun or whether they do it because they've got something going on in their head.
I don't think anyone does drugs for fun.
No,
I think there's
maybe
always
not,
an underlying issue.
Yeah,
you know.
100%.
Every young person suffers with their own issues, and I think drugs is just a pathway to a potential cure for that in their kind of head.
Yeah, they're trying to solve a problem.
Yeah, trying to solve a problem.
So how should we as leaders be listening better to that?
Just listen. That's it.
Get out of the office?
Get out of the office and just listen, man. That's all it is.
Cool. Thanks very much, guys. Another really interesting kind of topic. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Leading Communities podcast, and look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to keep up to date with all things Leading Communities. You can follow Aspire for You at A4UCIC. To follow That's All Media, search at That's All Media. You can also join us on Facebook at Leading Communities Podcast.